Hey there, I'm Shane Roach, and these are my amazing partners that I'm sure you've met before if you've watched any of our stuff. We have Cindy Hook and Mitch Pomeroy, and together we're coming today from Creative Real Estate University, which is our free online Facebook group where we talk about all things real estate investing, private money lending, and business acquisitions like we're going to talk about tonight, and where we try to learn, grow, and invest together. So we're all real estate investors, we're all go-givers, we're private money lenders, we're capital raisers, and we created the space of the Creative Real Estate University as a way for us all to build wealth through smart, creative real estate strategies. So come join us, join our Facebook group. We have a lot of different things going on. Cindy's always has deals coming up. Mitch always got deals coming up. I always have something to say, and we always love to have new people with great questions. So tonight is a little different. We always talk about different real estate acquisitions that we're doing, the deal of the week, so to speak, how to capital raise, how to protect yourself as a private money lender. But really want to take a different twist tonight and talk about business acquisitions. And the reason that is we have another announcement. We've done the InStyle Nail Salon in Vegas. There's a successful acquisition. It's which is spearheaded on, and now we have another announcement. We have a hair salon because I need a hair salon. So, Mitch, well, you tell everybody where you're at and what's going on.
Absolutely. So actually today I'm coming to you from the Philippines, and this is where actually my team, well, we'll say a vast majority of my team is. I have 11 rock star ladies in the Philippines that I've taught everything I know about real estate, construction, managing rental properties, housing authorities, Section 8. And actually, we're starting now to integrate buying businesses, and so our partner Angel here, who has been in the nail business for 3 generations now, so her family's, own multiple salons around the country. And the interesting part was is how I met Angel. Actually, how I met Cindy was at a meetup group, and she was wearing one of those fabulous hats with some red glasses. And I was like, hey, I need to go talk to this interesting person and see who they are and what they're about. And so that's how I initially met Cindy. Was we were at it was just an event, where people were learning about capital raising out in Arizona. And then the same thing, Shane and I met through some other real estate groups that we're all involved in. I met Angel because she did my first manicure pedicure, and we actually just got to start talking about that industry and what was kind of going on in it. And she was looking for partners, to be able to buy and acquire businesses. And so through all of these Zooms and just getting out there and talking to people, it's an opportunity for us all to meet, learn, grow, and invest together. So that's kind of how, short story about, how we all kind of met and started working together.
So, how long have you been in the real estate realm? How long have you been doing the real estate investing?
I start my real estate career started out. I actually came from construction background. My family has been in water and fire restoration for like 35 years, and so I grew up in construction, since I was like 10 years old. And I remember, when everybody else was in school, waking up to go to school, I probably was already awake covering roofs with my brother-in-law, at 4 in the morning, during my elementary years, junior high, and high school years. And so I started out, I came from that construction background in a small family business. And then I decided to venture into real estate and become a real estate agent in January of 2007, right when the market was crashing. And so I started off in challenging, real estate time. And, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of home owners that were having challenges, with their mortgages during the 2008 crash. And so, I helped a lot of people, refinance their mortgages and keep their homes. Other people had to short sell their homes in order to avoid foreclosure. And then I happened to start working with real estate investors that were buying court step auction properties. And I started showing them how to do acquisitions, on market, off market, wholesale, direct to seller. I already had construction management experience, so I started managing all of their properties, through the renovation process. And then I started doing the resale of their properties. And so I got to learn from the inside out. Before we had all of these great groups and Zoom calls like this, it was pretty much trial by fire, so I woke up, with them. I got to learn a lot about court step auctions at that time too. I started waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, comping properties, and we had drivers that were driving properties, and then bidders that were at the auctions actually bidding on the properties. And so that was kind of my initial, entry into real estate. And I started building a team shortly after that. And, because you have to have a team of people, no matter, if you're going to scale any kind of real estate business or business acquisition, you have to have other people that are in their lane as well, so that, you can work together and make sure you keep everything organized. So that was initially how I got started in real estate. And then, over time, I got to learn all the inside, uh, you know, things like how do you raise private capital? How do you, co-invest with people? How do you work with hard money lenders and private money lenders? And, even what we're doing right now, where we're able to co-invest with multiple investors. We're doing fractional notes for real estate and for business acquisitions. And so, typically, like you probably hear a lot of other people who are raising capital and they're trying to raise the full three, four, $500,000 with one or two investors. And, like individually, all of us could probably do maybe one deal together or one deal at a time. But, if we work together as a community, we're able to raise capital now. Instead of like having five or six investors that are in second, third, fourth, fifth lien position, we do what's called fractional notes. And I didn't invent that. Shane didn't invent it. Cindy didn't invent it. Angel didn't invent it. It was something I stumbled across when I was doing a fix and flip in 2016. I had a hard money lender. I was raising 1.5 million for fix and flip in San Diego, California. And when I after we closed escrow, I got the note back and there was 86 investors on the note. And so I was like, what's that? I've never seen, that many investors on invest in one deal all together at the same time. And so essentially what it is it's a fractional note. So we can take, and raise capital with somebody who has an SDIRA, somebody who has a solo 401k, someone who has a home equity line of credit, 0% credit cards. And in fact, one of the investors that I have right now is using infinite banking. And so they're using their insurance policy to actually fund the deal right now. And so by doing that, it allows us to bring in, we can have, investors as little as $50,000, 75,000, 80, 100, and we can bring all those investors together. Everybody is actually, on the exact same note. They know who the other investors are. They understand the structure of what we're doing. We work with escrow, title, and attorneys, to actually structure, for real estate, to structure the deeds of trust or the mortgages. And then we do the exact same thing in the business acquisition side.
No, I love talking to you, Mitch. And it just kind of comes to mind. One of the things I love about real estate, and I've said this over and over again, is there's a million ways to make $1 million. The thing I
Yeah.
hate about real estate is there's a million ways to make $1 million. But, you know, and I love your background. I love your story. You have so much experience. And I think we could probably sit down and do a whole show sometime just talking about teams, building teams, being on the right teams. And, that's a whole nother piece of this whole thing that people need to understand is you don't have to do it all yourself. You know, you get on these different real estate guru channels and they're telling the story, and you think that you have to go out and be the capital raiser, the underwriter, the deal originator, the deal negotiator, the property manager. You wear all those hats at once, and people get bogged down in all these little different nuances rather than saying, you know what, let's put together a team and let's find a really great negotiator. Let's find a really great deal originator. Let's go find a really, really great underwriter, a great TC, a great operator. And everybody's happy being in their niche, right? What they're great at. And together, man, that team is just going to take off. So what you've done over a course of really a decade, right, of building the right team, bringing them along, letting them flourish in the roles that they love to do, it's really allowed you to step up your game, not just to the next level, but you've conquered multiple levels through that journey. And it's a great inspiring story for all new investors to hear is that, hey, you don't have to be stuck trying to figure it all out. Come join a team that's got it going on. I see Joyce, and she's always a great to come and join us. And she's come along on our journey by being a partner with us, by being a private money lender. So, and there's multiple ways to come and partner with us. Maybe it's not just being a private money lender, but that's a great way to get started. If you don't know where to start, come be part of a team.
Think a
So,
lot of people too, when they start out, like you said, Shane, I mean, a lot of people, of course, they get inspired, right, by seeing something, or they want to change, something in their life. Some people are, when I started in real estate, I still had a W-2. I was working in a family business, you know what I mean? And then I went and, took action, got my real estate license. I was working at nights and on the weekends and doing all that kind of stuff in order to get into real estate. And like you said, like a lot of people jump in and they see all these moving pieces and parts for, real estate and business acquisition and co-living and Airbnb and fix and flips and apartment syndications and all these different things. And I've been fortunate enough to experience all of those different pieces over an 18-year career. It took me 18 years to learn and go through and, and the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, right? Like I've got to the opportunity to see it all. But like you said, the difference is like now, because we have Zoom and we have so many great people that have amazing skill sets, right? It's just like me doing business acquisitions, and getting to know Angel and me meeting Cindy and Shane and all this kind of stuff. Like, I like my lane, and then what I figured out too was like in hiring a team and teaching them everything that I know, you got to spend a lot of time to do that. I mean, we're on Zoom all day long, six,
mhm.
7 days a week, and so, but by doing that and like and sharing all those responsibilities and also partnering with great people, you don't have to do it all on your own. You don't have to like go through that 18-year, process of learning all these different, uh, steps and mistakes and all these different things, that you have to go through when you're, no matter if you're doing real estate or if you're doing, Airbnb, co-living, business acquisitions, things like that. When I started out, when we did the first business acquisition with InStyle Nails, I've never given anybody a pedicure before, or a manicure, or a facial, or lashes, or brows, or any of that kind of stuff, right? So you want to partner with great people that are like-minded, Same thing with capital raising. Like I did capital raising for over a decade, but at the same time, there's certain things, that I'm really good at. And so I would rather partner with people, and capital raisers, private money lenders, all the different people out there. It's just like I used to do all my own construction before. Now I fly out to the projects, I meet great realtors, I meet contractors, so that we put a really good team together in all the different locations that we're at. And you allow people to bring their expertise to the table as well.
So let's talk because we like to talk about capital raising here. We love to talk about private money lending in this space. Talk to us a little bit about the differences. What are the nuances between being a private money lender for a real estate deal versus a business acquisition?
So, being a private money lender for a real estate transaction, essentially we're going through and we're putting an offer out on a property either through an agent or a wholesaler or directly with the seller, and we're opening escrow and title. There's a title, that's held to the property. Um, we work with the attorneys, to make sure we have clean title, we have property insurance, so that's kind of that process, right? As far as with the business acquisition side, it's very similar. We use a closing attorney that is familiar with business title transfer, which is a UCC filing. And so what they'll do is they'll do the UCC background to make sure that there's no outstanding liens against the business. Um, they essentially act the same way as an escrow and title officer. They're pretty much the checkout clerk for the transaction. They make sure to get everything from the seller, all the documents from the buyer. They actually receive all of the wire and the funding, and they handle the transaction very similar. There's a purchase contract. There's, all of the terms that are spelled out. As far as from the private money lender side, the way we're structuring deals and we're doing fractional notes, it's actually identical. So we
Yeah.
raise capital the exact same way. We use the exact same investors. In fact, I think a lot of the investors that came from the in style are real estate. All of them are real estate investors,
Yep.
and so a lot of them actually, some of them had already invested in other real estate deals that we did, and then when we started to promote the purchase of in style nails, it was a very similar process. We have a in-house transaction coordination team. We have three rock star ladies. Angelica, who's been with me for 15 years now, she's been through 1,000 transactions. Airbnb, co-living, apartments, houses, all these different types of investments, and also the business purchase acquisition side. And so, our team, because everybody has a lane or a position, we work together the exact same way. For the PMLs, the process is identical. We open up with an attorney, we draft a note, you know, somebody says, "Hey, I like the presentation, for purchasing a business. I'd like to get involved in that." What happens is you reach out to Shane and Cindy and you say, "Hey, I'd like to be part of this. Here's the entity that I'm going to be using. Here's where my funds are coming from. Here is the amount of funds that I can invest in this transaction." And then what happens is they'll send an opening email to our transaction coordination team. In the business side, it would be Angelica. On the real estate side, we have three transaction coordinators that are all trained. They all work with all the variations of investors that we have. And so we draft the note, we send it out to the investors, they review it. Once they understand and ready to move forward, then they sign it. We send all the documentation to the closing attorney. The investors, just like in a real estate transaction, our investors send all of the funds directly to escrow. And then on the business acquisition side, they wire all the funds directly to the attorney. And in that process too, we always, we can't stress enough that, call the escrow officer, verify the wiring instructions over the phone because there's a lot of wire fraud. Same thing with the closing attorney. We're using closing attorneys that only do business transactions. We're not taking the business to a regular escrow officer. It's a specific attorney. That's all they do. They've been doing it for 20 plus years. So the transactions are very similar. The way we raise capital is pretty much identical.
And that's really what I like about this overall process because it relates back to real estate so well. From a 10,000 foot level, the process is exactly the same. Now, when you get to the fine details, yep, it's okay. There's some differences in how we underwrite. There's some differences in the contract. There's some differences in the end play, right, and how we're going to exit the strategy. Um, but all in all, we have a note, we have lenders, we all do it through an attorney's office. All money's held in escrow. It is all very, very similar on that level. So it's actually an easy transition if you're familiar with real estate, is to actually get started in business acquisition funding. So great, great.
Absolutely.
So tell us about this project that you have coming up and
Certainly.
how it
So
fits into InStyle. And then I can bring Angel on and she can tell us what she's been
I
up
love
to.
it. So, so with the business acquisition side, it's very similar. Like when we buy real estate, right? Like when we buy real estate, we're looking for two things. We're looking for uh, equity, cash flow, and we're also looking for value add, right? Like that's really what real estate investing is, right? We want to buy something that we can add value to and increase the value of it. Businesses are very similar. You can either buy a business where maybe the financials, maybe they were doing 800 to $1 million a year in revenue, and then something changed with the ownership. In Style Nails, it was a little different. Like there was a problem with the partnership. So, it was a business that had been around for 12 years. The owners that we bought it from had purchased it from the previous owner, and the revenue was over a million, and then they took it over and the revenue dropped by 50% within a couple of years. Well, and it happened very quickly in year one, year two. So it wasn't a location thing. It wasn't like, anything else besides management, right? So at the end of the day, whoever's managing it and whoever's involved in the day-to-day operations is going to determine whether the real estate deal is successful or whether the business is successful. It's very similar on that side.
And it comes back to that same story, is having the right team in place makes all the difference. And I would probably say that in the business side of things and the operation side of things, it's even more important than the real estate side. It's important there too, but on the business acquisitions, in the operation of those businesses, you have to have the right team in place and people that have the knowledge and the love for it.
Even within Style Nails, it was kind of funny. The first time when Angel and I after we closed on the transaction, we walked in. You have a staff of people, right, in the business, so everything is based on the culture, right? Because people walk into a business for the experience, the environment, the quality of service, and the product that's being offered. And so when we first walked in, it was kind of funny because we walked in and the news was on and it was nothing but politics, and we were sitting there talking, and you could just feel like the drain on people's, like,
The
their
energy
presence
just flowed
inside
out.
there. Yeah, their energy level was just down, right? And so, what Angel was able to do was, first of all, like we went through, we totally, had a great conversation with the staff, first of all, because everybody initially, when you buy a business, is like, what's going to happen? Am I still going to have my job? Like, these are new owners, and so there's a little bit of uncertainty, right? So the first thing you got to do, you just got to walk in and have a great conversation with people and let them know, hey, we're the new owners of the business. This is kind of what our plan is. This is how, we're going to improve the quality of your work and your life, because those people inside there are the culture, right? People go to you can go to any corner in America. There is probably a nail salon there, right? There's no shortage of business, clientele, any of those kind of things. But guess what? The businesses that are successful, the ones that, people can spend their money anywhere. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
if it's a restaurant, a nail salon, a car wash. It comes down to the experience that they get when they walk in. And so by creating, that environment, that's what's really going to draw people back in. And so, in the situation with Install Nails, so Angel, she's gone in and we've done, we've repainted it, we've upgraded, the equipment inside of there. The team understood what we were doing. They were able to see that transformation as it was happening. Day one, no more politics, blaring from the TVs while, while we're sitting there, right? Music, here's a soft drink or a complimentary cocktail. Allow people to come in and actually forget about everything else that's going on in their world for the next hour or two, right?
Leave your worries at the door.
Leave your worries at the door. Yeah, come in, and then also too, it's a business, it's a value add situation, right? So we went in and initially, like with InStyle Nails, they were only providing nails and pedicures at that time. They were actually subleasing each of these other rooms out, so they had a lash person that was a sublease. It was just a flat rental rate. There was a facial person. And so what Angel was able to do was bring in all these other services, and so I'll let her talk more about all that side of it. But it's the same thing. Like whether it's whether we're doing a real estate acquisition, you've got like we really try to work with this with as much as we can, our own escrow title people, the attorneys that we're working with. Our capital raising team is out, raising capital. The contractors, like, the culture of everybody in the team makes all the difference in the world. Same thing in a business acquisition like the nail salon, right? Like you gotta go through and you gotta find and sometimes too, guess what? When you buy a business, some people are not going to like the change, right? Maybe, uh, you know, we're not for them and they're not for us. That's just how life works, right? We all kind of gravitate to who, we like, we know, like, and trust. And so, when you get into into the business side of it, like Angel's had to go through it, like she'll put ads out and there'll be, several different people that will apply and you don't know who someone is until you start working with them, right? And they're in the salon and like you have a group of people that have already been there, you bring in a new person and all of a sudden, you got to see whether or not they're gonna vibrate on the same level together, right? So but you know what though? The difference is too though is like, like Angel's got a great personality. She's very vibrant, she's very hardworking. That was what I saw really quickly too was like, same thing with Shane, same thing with Cindy. All the different people that I'm partnered with, we all have the same, we're all rowing in the same direction. We all want to win together. We want, to be able to be part of a team where we don't have to do everything ourselves, right? I mean, I could literally go out and do all the things. I've done them all. No, thank you. I would rather work in a team where everybody is like doing their part, you know, uh, and they bring a value to the partnership.
It, and the testament to you, Mitch, is Cindy and I have met a lot of different real estate investors, and we talked about a partnership, working with them on a more intimate relationship. And you just kind of get a vibe real soon that that's probably not the right fit, right? For a lot of people.
Yeah,
And what I like about you and why you fit in so well with Cindy and I is you do have that servant heart. You're here to help others. Yes, we want to help people be successful. We'd like for them to work with us, but we give this out freely so that you can learn then to protect yourself by make sure the paperwork's right, the underwriting makes sense, the overall deal strategy has some good logical mathematics behind it. And if you want to go do that on your own, we encourage you to go do that. We're here to help you along those way. If you can partner with us, fabulous. But if not, we keep providing these educational pieces as a way to help people out along their journey. And kind of that lighthouse
absolutely.
in the storm, right? Is to hopefully keep you off the rocks, guide you into the safe harbor. So, but on that, I do want to bring Angel up. It's been a while, so I'm gonna bring you right in front, center.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing? It's
Great.
been a
Yeah, it's been
while.
busy. It's been a while. I've been sort of cooped up in the salon world 7 days a week. That's what's going on. But I love it. I smell, breathe, hair, nails, everything.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've been able to get a lot of stuff done here. I mean, we're basically at the end point. Grand opening is going to be actually happening. It did get extended a bit due to delivery of a TV that it was like a roundabout of situations. Anyways, long story short, just the TV is the last bits of it. Everything else is done. I ideally want the grand opening to have the TV though, because that's like a free marketing, and for everybody to be on the shop floor, I think that's so crucial. So grand opening is going to happen on August 1st, which is it's going to be really exciting. I plan to project. Basically, I want every square foot of this store to have people and have a whole shebang and record a video. You guys will get a video of it. It'll be fun. Yeah. And
Well, that sounds like a great time. Actually, that's right around the corner, August
yeah.
1st.
Yeah.
Boy.
So like I said, I'm breathing now, hair, lashes, everything.
So yeah,
It's
we'll have to get
happening.
with Mitch and we'll figure out how to best support the grand opening. Whether we can be
Yes.
there in person or via
Okay.
Zoom call
Yes.
and share it with the community, we'll figure that out because we
Yes,
want
I
to
would
make
love
sure that
that.
you're successful.
Yes, if you
Yeah.
guys could come on down, please. That would be amazing. Yeah. Absolutely. Grand opening is going to be for 2 days ongoing. It's going to be from the first to the second. So I just want to have, it is August 1st, that's a Friday of August, that I want to have a little bit more of an opportunity for other people who are, off on weekends, on Saturday at the very least. So sort of just decided to go off from there. Um, but so far, we implemented more team members into our team. Since what we've been able to do this month, it's actually been, so the new team member this this past 3 weeks, our numbers have hit much better. So what I'm saying is that over the course of, it's just a matter of properly structuring everything that a successful business needs in terms of all the other successful businesses that's already been doing the same thing. What's not broken, don't fix it. Yeah. And
So
what's
Angel,
broken, you gotta fix it.
right, that's right. So Angel, I know you've been in the industry and in the business for quite a while.
Quite some
But
time,
have
yeah.
you gone through a turnaround like this before where you bought a previous business and now, hey, let's fix those broken things. Let's take all the good stuff that we know works,
Mhm.
blend it into what was here and what was working with this company. Have you done that process before that?
Personally, myself, I've never done that process before. This would be my first one, but with my family members and being around them, yes, I have. They've bought, sold businesses. Um, my godfather actually, he's retired now, but he came on down to help me just a little bit. But he had his A, B, and C licensure in California. He actually, his name is still held on one of the placards in one of the states. Sorry, what's that bringing? I apologize. Just give me 1 second here. Yeah, so he had his A, B, and C licenses in California, and he still has a placard of his name in one of the states for being one of the renowned general contractors.
Okay.
So yeah, he used to build out throughout all of California, basically from north to south end. He used to build a lot of these salons. They would flip and fix, like just fix and flip salons like there's no tomorrow. Going at, let's just say they invested like 300,000, 400,000, they would basically be able to flip that for like 1 million and over. They did that over and over and over and over. So he's very well known in that environment of things. But yeah, it's a good business if you know what you're doing. To answer that. So a little bit on the building side, I understand, and the functional part of it, I also do understand. Yeah.
So as Mitch is bringing on now another salon, it's not a
Yes.
nail salon, this is a hair salon. Similar industry, but different. What's your involvement in this overall process?
Yeah, so this one is actually a nail salon
Oh, it is
again.
a nail salon. How did I get
Yes,
that
yes.
wrong?
Yes. Um, there's so what we did with this location number one, we implemented hair and we also implemented lashes and waxing. So basically everything to do with facial body waxing and also facials themselves itself, and also every single hair that you can think of, just cutting, coloring, treatments, etc. And then, the most popular thing that's like going on to the market now, which is head spas. Um, yes. I know. It's great. You gotta get one. If you haven't had one already, you
Oh
gotta
my
get
God,
one.
I have gotten one.
Yes. So tell me about
Ew.
it, Cindy. Did you love it?
Oh my God. So my neighbor, my next door neighbor, she actually owns a day spa and
Nice.
she just moved into a new location.
Yeah.
And well, long story short, she wanted to borrow the truck. So she's like, "Hey, I have a truck." So she wanted to borrow my truck. She's like, "Listen, can I borrow the truck and I'll give you I want to try one of our hair spas." And I'm like, "Sure." She only needed the truck for like 10 minutes. I'm like, "Okay, you borrow my truck and I'll get the hour facial spa." And
Mm.
I'm telling you, I mean, I got to go back. It is,
See?
first of all, I was like, what the heck did they use on my hair? It was so soft and there was no frizz. And I keep to ask, I do have some of the products, but I'm like, it still wasn't as soft as I mean, it was like soft for like a week. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes. I'm sure it was.
Yes, it was so good. Yes, it was something. It's like the dermaplane. Like no one did dermaplanes before, and now I need one like every other week. Just
Yes.
something else I need to spend my money on. And by the way, I
Yeah.
did break a nail tonight, so I'm not happy.
It's too bad you can't stop on by and
I
fix it
know.
up over
Well,
here.
I'd have to hop on a plane and but I did break a nail.
You
Yes.
know, the funny thing is, the first time when I met Angel and she did, I'm 50 years old. I've never had a manicure, pedicure, or anything until I was 49 years old. And I went in and Angel did that first like manicure, pedicure, and then I did like the waxing, like the ears
Hmm.
and the nose. I was convinced. I was like, and I know it's funny because like my brother-in-law and different people, they're like, I don't know, that's like a guy thing or whatever. I was like, I'll tell you what, go try it one time, and because there's a lot of things like that you don't realize too, like when you go in and you get a pedicure, especially as a guy, right? Like you might have a lot of calluses on your feet are hurting on the bottom, your hands. Like I grew up in construction, my hands are always dried out,
Hmm.
and so Angel did the first manicure on there, and it was like a night and day difference from like my hands being all dried out all the time. The same thing with my feet. Like my feet felt better on the bottom when I was walking on them. And so the same thing too. Like I'm a guy. Like the hair grows in my ears. It grows in my nose. It comes out like I almost had a unibrow at one point. But you know what though? Like when I started kind of looking into these things, like I said, the first time I did that process with her, and it was interesting because Angel goes, "Hey," she was working in a family salon, and she goes, "Hey, can I talk to you outside for a minute?" And I was like, "Sure." And so we went outside, and she was telling me that she wanted to buy a salon, and she told me her story and her experience and all that. But because that experience that I had with her, I could see the passion. I actually got to experience what all of this was about. And the funny thing is too is like the way that Angel is finding the salons is completely different than what everybody else is doing. And when she started showing me that, we actually started going and looking at those salons, and I'm one of the people like I want to try it out, right? Like I want to walk into the business and get that experience. So all the places that we're going to, like I want to walk in and actually get a service at that salon. I want to feel what the culture feels like. Like, how do they greet you when you walk in? What is the quality of the service? What kind of music or politics are playing in the background, right? While you're actually, going through that. So for me, it's very similar to like real estate. Like when I go out, I want to go see, I don't care where the property is in the United States. I fly out there, I meet the realtors, I meet the contractors, I look at it. I want to like eat, sleep, and breathe, whatever it is that we're investing in. And that's one of the reasons why I travel a lot, right? Because I actually am somebody that wants to go see it. I want to meet the people. And so when we're out looking at salons, I tell Angel, let's go in. I want to walk in. I want to see. I want to like get a service, and then she can like scan and look at things. And so, there's a difference too, like in when we're buying businesses too, like, like Angel's saying, like InStyle was the first one that was kind of a turnaround, right? But there was a culture, a group of people that were already there. There was five, six really good people in that business. And then also too, like you have to look at it from a perspective of how can we add value there, right? So what Angel did was, through the renovation process too, she's interviewing different techs, for nails, lashes, facials. Adding additional services also is how to add revenue in a business. Just like if you bought a house that was all beat up, it hasn't been renovated or it had water damage or whatever, fire damage to it, you're going to go in, you're going to remodel it, and now, you're essentially making it pretty again, right? Same thing in a business, right? You're going to go in and you're going to find services that you can add, they're going to add revenue into the business. And so with InStyle, there wasn't, so by bringing all of those services back in and adding additional things like hair spa, none of the salons that we've been in that we went into before had hair spa. The InStyle one's the first one. The way that the manicures are done, it's you have to like grow up in that business in order to understand that, right? Like I know construction very well. I've been doing it since I was 10 years old, but when Angel and I first met, like I got to experience the quality of work that she did, the passion, the drive, the plan, like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Also, like looking at other people's business models, looking at their Instagram pages, their TikTok, their Yelp reviews, their Google reviews, right? Like understanding and dissecting that, Um, with the Bella Salon, it's a little bit different. Like this is a great location. It's actually 8 minutes, 10 minutes away. I think it's probably what 10 minutes, it's probably 10 or 15 minutes away from InStyle. It's the same clientele base though. But the difference is that those owners, they had, like as soon as we started talking to them, they were very transparent upfront. Here's the financials, here's the tax returns, here's the bank statements, here's the POS system that we're using. Come on in, we'll show you everything. It's a husband and wife team. And essentially though, you have to find why are they selling the business, right?
Mhm. There's always a
And
story.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, like what's the story? Like, why are you selling it? Because I mean, it already has a really good model. It's located next to a gym. There's so much foot traffic from the gym. You got hundreds of people coming in and out of this gym. There's a nice restaurant tavern next door. There's a massage place next door. There's a vitamin store next door. There's other, like, it's in a really good location. It's actually about 6, 7 minutes from my house. And so you got to go in and understand. And sometimes what happens is that the people who are owner operators, they just get to a burnout phase. And so when we started talking with the husband, he was like, "Oh yeah, my wife essentially, she just like, is here all the time." And
Hmm.
then what happened is like he's showing us pictures. He's taking the kids to Disneyland and she's at the salon. And she's like, I want to go to the salon too, right? Or I mean, I want to go to Disneyland too. And so that's kind of it, right? Like you got to figure out what's going on. But the other thing too is like the model, this particular business is by appointment only, right? Like InStyle has a lot of walk-in foot traffic as well. This place just has a really good clientele base, but they're only limiting this. They're really limiting the services. They only were doing manicure, pedicure, and they had a lash person, but the lash person, went out on maternity leave, and so they didn't have a plan to bring an additional person in. And so, you're looking at these locations too, and you're like, okay, well, how do you add additional services there, right? Lashes, brows, facials, are there. And so, that's the value add component, right? And there's rooms and spaces to be able to do that within the existing footprint. So it's not like, and there's an art to it as well. Like that, I've learned a lot, in working with Angel. There's a lot of salons that we looked at that were just too small, right? They were in the wrong locations. They didn't have, to build a salon, just to do the build out on it is about a $500,000. Like if you go
Oh,
buy a
wow.
space, yeah, I mean that's just like the barely getting it started phase because we've looked at that part. We've talked to several different owners that did build outs. You got to go through the city building permit process and all of those things. And then then you got to buy everything and you got to have, commercial contractors and specialty contractors like Angel's godfather, right? Like that's what he did for several years was he did build outs on salons. Angel's mom owned multiple salons in Maui, out in Hawaii. She has cousins and relatives that are, doing this all over the country. And so, by recognizing like the difference is you can go start a brand new business. You have to have a lot of upfront capital, and it's going to take you a longer timeline to build out that clientele base as opposed to buying a business that already has clientele base, adding services and expanding, those services within that business. And I think a lot of people probably overlook that part, right? Like there's something else to be said too. Like, has anybody ever been to a restaurant that you loved? You love the food, you love the staff, the everything that was going on, and then someone sold it. They changed the name, they changed the menu. The staff, all of a sudden were unhappy. They started quitting, and next thing you know, the business didn't work out, right? Because they went in, and it's like you probably should have just went and started your own business if you were going to change everything that was already successful, right? Uh, but like in the business acquisition side too, like when we did the acquisition on InStyle Nails, you know, they didn't have a POS system, where they can, stay in contact with their clientele base by social media, by email, by phone, and offering, promotions and things like that. They essentially had an Excel spreadsheet with a laptop, and that was it. And they had like a swipe card machine in one part of the building, and literally like that's how they were booking all the appointments was like on just a regular calendar. Well, you know what? There's a lot of softwares and systems out there that are made for salons. There's marketing packages and all these different things. And so by bringing in, software and technology, the shop's going to run better. The techs are going to be happier because they know exactly when their appointments are. They're not running over. Literally, we watched them when we first walked in. They were running over and looking at when their next appointment was. But because they didn't have like this system, where they could see, oh, I have so and so coming in, on this time, that time. What would happen is like when we first, with install, like literally the person had an appointment, they didn't realize it. They took somebody who just walked in, and now their client who booked an appointment was sitting and waiting, right? And so, but
Right.
that's what Angel's brought in, is she's brought in like automation. She's brought in, the social media side of things. And even, now like some of the big competitors that are out in like that Las Vegas market, there's a competitor now that how much would she buy that business for, Angel? Like 1.2 million or something like that. And now it's
No,
making 3 million.
she bought it for less than that. But right now she's grossing 2 million. I mean 3 million, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what we've done now is Angel actually figured out who it was that worked at the company that did all of their social media and marketing, and hired them directly.
He's with us in our team now.
So now he's like in our internal team. So that's exactly what he's doing. And he took that business. The lady bought the business for less than 1 million. She's she's generating over 3 million. And how long of a time range was that? Like less than 2 years, something like
Uh,
that?
no, that only took a year, a little over a year. Yeah,
Yeah.
very short.
Yeah,
Yep.
so same thing. It's just like we're not going to sit there and try to like master the social media, portion of it. We're not going to master that POS system with, the appointment setting and that kind of stuff. It's like getting the right software, the right people, the person who's already been doing it successfully with other nail salons, And so with Bella Nail and Lash, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go in. Bella Nail and Lash is just a more successful business, even right out the gate, because they have a big clientele list. It is by appointment only right now. They're not even allowing walk-ins, which I thought was like, wow, like you guys are like, you've got a good system going. They have a POS system, but it's more of an outdated kind of system.
Mhm.
They were completely transparent though. They're like, hey, look, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. You guys could probably, improve on some things. They let us look at their computer, their database, their POS system, how they're running it. They told us, they're not even doing social media marketing
Yep.
at all. They initially were what they did do though, which was which was really smart, was they were marketing at the gym next
Oh
door.
wow.
Like, when you go
Okay.
to the gym and there's like the marketing over the TV thing, that's initially how they built their clientele base. One of the ways. And then, they had great service, right? So the culture when you walk in there was great. Like we didn't hear politics or any of those kind of things in there, you know, nice salon, great staff, friendly, all those kind of things. It's just that they're not maximizing the social media marketing right now. And they never replaced their lash person, which was, revenue. They're not offering facials and all these different things, and they have, four additional rooms outside of the main salon, so that's a big part of what Angel's going to do is we're going to implement more services there, and then also use social media to drive traffic, to the salon for all of those services.
So I'll put my sales hat back on just for a quick second. So to our private money lenders who are going to partner with us, this is what you want to see. You want to see a team that has a vision and a path forward. Whether that's on the real estate side, so we have the contractors, the plan to get that house turned over and renovated quickly, right? And in a market that we know that's going to sell. In the business side, you want to see this vision. What Mitch and Angel have is priceless because it's not just, hey, this business is here and it's functional. We're going to take it over and add 10%. They're actually going to restructure this business, and it could be 3, 4, 5x in a very, very short period of time. So um, that's really what you want to see as a partnership. So I really appreciate Angel and Mitch what you're doing with this business acquisitions because you have the experience in the background and the strategy and the wherewithal to get it all done. So hats off to you.
Can you see my screen? I think I
Yes.
was just kind of sharing the screen. So this is the presentation which Shane and Cindy will send out, if you'd like to see it. I mean, look at these winning smiles. Let's start there. Look at that. Everybody's smiling. Everybody's happy. Look at Shane. He's got a tie on. What's going on?
Uh, look at that crazy
This
Mitch guy.
is,
He's got a tie on.
I had a tie on. Yeah, I had a tie on in that picture. That's for sure. But yeah, this is actually Bella Nils and Lashes right here. Um, this is actually I would say this is definitely an upscale salon. So upscale clientele. It's in a location where a lot of it's in a location that's very walkable. So you have a lot of like higher end apartments that are across the street. It's in a really big strip mall location. In fact, right here, this is I'm going to zoom in so you can kind of get an idea of what this looks like here. So in here, this is the salon, or this is the fitness place right here. This is the salon.
Oh
It's
yeah.
literally right in front of the fitness place, so there's a lot of people coming by there. There's like a restaurant, right here. There's a massage place right next door. I mean, look at the amount of cars that are in that parking lot. It's always crowded. We're location is everything, right? When it comes to buying real estate, when it comes to buying businesses, location is what makes all the difference. And so in here too, like on this part of you can't see this part of the picture right here, but on this side over here, it's like a vitamin place. There's all these other personal service places there, that get a lot of traffic. And then through here, we go through, we explain, what the vision is, what we just kind of explained to all of you. What the existing business services are. It's manicure, pedicure. They had lashes before, but there's currently nobody there doing the lashes. And so we're going to be implementing, lashes, full face and body waxing, complete facial service, micro and hydrofacials. There's also lashes and variations of things. And we've actually looked at lots of other businesses. There was another lash business that we've been working on for a while, and we thought we were going to have that one in contract as well. But you know what? Sometimes it just takes longer. There's an owner that's just not really ready, or it just takes, there's a process to get through in order to, to be able to acquire the right businesses as well. And so we've looked at several different businesses all over this market, and this is definitely a great business opportunity. So in here too, this just explains too, like the variations of services too that are gonna be added in. One of the big things that we notice is like they already have a great book of business, but they're not providing all these additional services. They have, there's like right here, and I'll kind of scroll in here too, but the room right here is where they do the lashes at right here. There's another room right here that they're not really doing a lot with. There's another room right here that we're going to convert into doing, additional services. It had 2 bathrooms, and the reason why it had 2 bathrooms is because when they initially did this build out, they spent over $500,000 doing this build out. And when they did the build out, at that time, they were required to put in 2 bathrooms. Well, now you can use 1 bathroom, right, for both genders. And so now it's like, we've got, all these additional rooms that aren't really being utilized for additional services. And so implementing those additional services, is what the game plan is. Also, to the social media side of it too. It's got they're not actually taking walk-ins or anything like that for lashes, facials, or anything, and they're not promoting any other services because they're not offering any other services. So as far as like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they have a Facebook page, but because they've been busy like with the appointment clientele, they haven't even really been promoting any of that. So that's what Angel is going to bring to the table, also with the new social media person that is already working, on the in style side of uh of that part. So this is kind of the total capital that we're raising. We always break down, what we're doing, the term. Essentially, it's a 6-month term with a 6-month extension time that'll be spelled out in the note. The way that we do things is a little bit different with our investors. We actually prepay the interest to the investors up front at the closing. And this is something that I learned from a real estate educator, in when I used to go to the RIAs before we had all these YouTube channels and this kind of stuff. There was a real estate educator that told me, hey, look, you're going to be raising capital for your deal. You've got to pay your investors. You've got 3 ways you can do it. You can either pay them up front, you can make monthly payments to your investors, or you can pay them at the end. And so for us, we just opt to raise capital. We prepay our investors upfront. What it does is it allows us to work with lots of different investors. Some people have cash just sitting in a bank account. Other people have self-directed IRAs, that might be earning 1% a year, 2% if they're lucky. And then, other people have home equity lines of credit. So one of the things that I learned over the past couple of years was there was a lot of investors that had home equity lines of credit. They were investing in real estate transactions, but they weren't being paid until the property sold. And they
Mhm.
had, monthly mortgage payments that were due. And so it's like, all right, well, if we prepay the investors up front, they've already got their return right in the beginning. So like on this one, they're going to get a prepaid 16% interest payment right up front, which allows them, if they want to use a HELOC, they can already make those monthly payments on their HELOC, or they get their return up front. They can literally, we've had this happen multiple times where somebody invested in the deal and we prepaid the interest up front. They actually took the prepaid interest and invested in a second investment deal that we had, you know?
That money then is actually earning again. So I wish we would have
Yeah.
created that thought. It was actually one of our private money lenders that came up with that strategy. And afterwards, we're like, that was genius.
Yeah.
We have to share that because that was really good. But it also takes that fear because it's one of the things that we've learned over time is for a new investor that there's a little bit of anxiety every month going, am I going to get my payment? Is that going to come? Well, here we
Yep.
just gave it to you all the whole 6 months up front. And as Mitch was saying, if this thing does happen to close sooner, you already got 6 months. We paid you for six
Yep.
months, even if we get done in 4 or 5. So
Well, and so here's something else too that, in working with investors just like yourselves, something else we've implemented is like, hey, like let's say we have 3 or 4 weeks to raise capital, and somebody, puts their money in on day two, right? And their money is sitting in escrow, in the escrow attorney's account for 28 days. Well, by just learning and working with people, somebody was like, well, I put my money in first, and somebody put their money in the day before we were closing, and I'm not earning interest during that time. So now what we're doing is a little different, right? We're prepaying the 6 months of interest to you upfront at the close of escrow, and then you're actually accruing interest the day you send your money into the escrow attorney. So let's say, for example, we still had 3 or 4 weeks to raise capital, but you had your money just sitting in an IRA account, not earning very much interest. Once you're ready to move forward, you reach out to Shane and Cindy. You let them know, hey, this is the amount I want to invest. From the date that your money goes into the escrow account, you start accruing a per diem daily for every day that your money's in there. And then what we do is once we raise all the capital with all the investors, we close on the business. When we pay you back at the maturity date, we're going to pay you the per diem for all the days that your funds were sitting in escrow on top of the 6 month interest that we gave you.
and this is important because in business acquisitions, as in real estate, things happen, right? So I'll share a story that we just did recently where we raised the funds for a real estate deal. And we'd raised all the funds. We were pushing towards closing. And again, as Mitch said, some of these people had been in for 2 or 3 weeks prior to closing. At the last minute, the seller had a hiccup, you know, not to get in all the details of their business, but we couldn't close and it got pushed. Well, we've experienced this in other deals, and private money lenders get frustrated saying, hey, my capital's tied up. They want an earning. So this is a solution that Mitch came up with was, hey, we can provide you a per diem for as long as your money is tied up in escrow, you're going to be earning. So I think that was a fabulous idea, Mitch, and I don't think anybody else is doing it. That any of the deals that I've seen being raised out there. So hats off to you.
Well, and a lot of this just comes through experience, right? Like because we're all working together, we're doing deals, Shane and Cindy are talking to the investors, and in that situation that Shane's talking about, like, yeah, there was a scenario where something happened with the seller. They ended up having to short sell the property, right? So it totally changed the dynamic of that transaction. What we were able to do though was, the investors already had their money in there. We had another real estate investment that was ready to close. So we ended up having to wire everybody their money back. And then, everybody went in and invested in that second deal. And then we closed that deal. But they didn't lose any time, of when their money was out, right? And I've seen that before too, like where people would get into a deal and then all of a sudden, it didn't work out, and then they got their money back, and it was tied up for 2 or 3 weeks, and they really there was no advantage for them, right? So, I mean, the way we're looking at it is that, our private money lenders are our partners, so we want you to be able to earn interest and win with us, even if something happens, we have to make a change, or if the escrow period takes a little bit longer because the attorney is still working on, or the escrow company is working on, getting documentation or title reports or UCC filings or whatever it might be, we want you to know that you're going to earn interest every single day that your money is in the escrow account. So in this situation too, like we always break down, we're very transparent on where all the funds are going to. Um, the timelines, the notes are very detailed. When you actually decide to invest, you'll get the note, you'll get to review it, you can look at it, you can ask questions, um, and everybody's different on how they analyze information too, right? Like we're all different. We're not copies. We're all originals. I heard that before, and I was like, that's a great point, right? Like we all think a little bit different. We all, have a little bit different perception on things, So, you could read the note, you could take a look at it. You ever have questions, you can always call back and ask, as many questions as you'd like. So this is the breakdown of, what we're doing with the funds, what the plan is down here, what the current business model is. This is, the location of the business. This is the acquisition approach. This is how we're going to be adding and upgrading equipment and services. Of course, we use a lot of social media in order to improve revenue with the business. Um, and I'll say Angel is incredible at doing all that, because like I'll be the first one to tell you I am not the social media guru. And but you know what though? But here's the difference though too. Like even in my business, a lot of people were like, "Oh wow, I see that you're constantly interacting in all these different communities, and you're posting information or whatever." That's my team. I have people who are working on that. They're reaching out to people through Facebook and Instagram and building relationships and doing a lot of those different things. But it's funny because sometimes I'll go to an event and I'll meet somebody. They're like, "Oh yeah, I see that you're posting in whatever group it was." You know what I mean? But that's actually Chris Ann. That's Chris Ann and Gene and all the people on the team, right? And they're out there doing it, and then they set appointments for me, and then I go and I get to meet, to meet and greet and do all that stuff, because like social media, like I don't know how some people do it, like when you see how long people post and do that kind of stuff, and I've done it, and I'm like, that's a full-time job, like just managing and responding, and uh, even with Shane and Cindy, like bringing in private money lenders and stuff, like it's a lot of work, right? Like going out and talking to people and explaining what we're all doing and how we're doing it together. It takes a team of people to do that. So, we explain, this is the breakdown right here. Explains the population growth, target, what neighborhoods that we're targeting. It just breaks down the local market, the affordability of the beauty demand in Las Vegas. Um, the Las Vegas market, I got to tell you, like I said, there are nail salons on every single corner in America, right? When people come to Las Vegas, one, you have the locals that live there. A lot of people, like I've had private money lenders and partners come out to Las Vegas. I'll meet them down at, one of the restaurants, or, on the top of Circa in downtown Las Vegas, because you can see the whole city. And they're like, "Where do you live? In a casino?" And I'm like, "No, I live in that neighborhood way out there in the northwest corner, in Centennial." And that's actually where this salon's at. It's actually in Centennial. It's like 6 minutes from my house. InStyle Nails is 15 minutes from my house. And it's just we're being very specific on the targeted neighborhoods and the areas that we want to own businesses in long term. So this just kind of gives you an overview of all of the business, so you can take a look at this stuff. If y'all have questions, you can always reach out to us. But like I said, we're very transparent. We break down, the whole analytics of the business, why we like the location, what the services are, how we're going to increase revenue. And Shane and Cindy will be able to share this slide deck with you as well.
And for those that are watching in the future, I'm doing a little time travel here because this is recorded and will be shared. We'll have a link in the description below.
I love it. See, that's the part of social media I don't know. I'm glad you brought it up.
You know, and that as I sit here through that, and you're talking about, I don't know why we're not live streaming on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll fix that and remedy that for our next show. Is not only will we record this, but we'll also live stream it. So it'll get a lot more of that foot traffic, just kind of like being at the mall, right? Is you have to be in the right location and allow people just to be able to walk in unplanned. So we will do that
It's
as
funny
well.
because I see that. Yeah, it's a great point. If you want to do that, I'm up. Let's go. I see. It's funny. Like when I do look at TikTok and I see it, I see different people just live streaming whatever it is that they're doing in their life, right?
Right.
And yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes they're live streaming things they probably shouldn't, but that's another whole other story. So,
You know what? And it's funny because like I see it and I'm like, wow, is there people really watching this right now? And you could see people on the side commenting. You're like, this is hilarious. Welcome to social media.
Mhm.
Angel, it's wonderful to see you again. Thanks for
Thank
all your
you.
hard work. I know you
Likewise.
have a plate full getting ready for your August 1st event. So, we look
Yes,
forward to hearing from you and hearing how it went.
appreciate you guys. I really do.
And
Stop
Mitch,
on by if you get the chance to, please.
absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to go look at my calendar and figure that out.
Yes, sir.
I keep telling Mitch, one of these days I'm going to try to catch up with him. I don't know if I can keep up with him because he's always on the move. I want to try to catch
Oh,
up.
it'll be hard for you to catch him unless you're trying to be like, a part-time taxi driver, just like 1 hour of your day every few months. You might catch him
Angel's been
then.
Angel's been like, she's like, hey, I'm gonna pick you up at the airport. And it's kind of funny because like, well, literally she'll pick me up at the airport and then on the way from the airport we'll go look at salons.
Yes.
Like I'm like, hey, let's go look at that salon right now, right? Like, let's go call the owner. Let's see if they're available.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
It's the only time he gets anyways for him to be there with me, so
Well, until next time, my friends,
yeah,
thanks again for sharing your evening with us. Or in this
thank
case, your
you.
morning, Mitch. I know it's in the Philippines, your early morning. So,
Appreciate you all. Look forward to working with you.
yep. And this is recorded. We will clean it up a little bit and have it out shortly, probably tomorrow sometime on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. So,
So
and
I
then
had one
we'll.
quick question before we
Hi,
go.
Joyce.
Sure.
Yes,
Hey,
ma'am. How can I
Joyce.
help you?
I've been sitting here thinking, I was thinking we were going down the syndication route when you first started talking about business acquisitions, because I'm in a syndication and I don't really like the idea of my capital being tied up for like 5 years.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is much more exciting to me to just thinking about this. But
Thank
it
you, Joyce. Appreciate you saying that because we actually listened to a lot of our private money lenders over the years. And that's one of
Mhm.
the things that was very key was, hey, I don't want to be tied up in a syndication or a fund where I can't get my money back out. 3 years, 4 or 5 years is very common. So that's why we
Right.
kind of keep most of our notes 6 months to a year. And we tend to like to write these with that renewal option. Hey, we would like to continue to be partners with you, Joyce, but if you have a life event you need out, here's a process how we can get you out in a very short period of time. Not that you're stuck in it for 5 years. So
Awesome. Yeah,
we
I've never
heard that.
seen that done before.
Yes.
Well, something
One
funny,
last,
Joyce. Oh,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say, I've done apartment syndications before, and you're right. Like when if I'll just say apartments. I don't know if you're invested in apartment
It's an
syndication.
apartment building, yes. In
Typically, like you're not going to see any cash flow for probably 2 to 5 years, right? And so the way that they do that business model is they're giving away, 60 or 70% of the equity in the deal, But, you know, in order to reposition an apartment complex, you have to do value add, which means that you got to vacate units. You try to keep as many units occupied to cover debt service, mortgage payments, you know, operational. But typically, the apartment syndications are 2 to 10 year or two. I mean, most of them are 5 to 10 year periods, right? And
Mhm.
you don't typically see cash flow for probably the first 24 months. And then you might, you know, you might start seeing some cash flow.
And it's
But
every
that's
3 months
also, is it every 3 months? Yeah.
in this one, yeah.
Yeah, and it depends on what kind of what type of property it is too, right? Like the apartments that I did were complete financial basket cases, you know what I mean? So they were like owner operators that were absentee. I mean, we bought them on great discounts. I did a 57 unit complex that I bought in 2019 for like 2,150,000. We sold it last year for 6.1 million. It was a great return. We had great tax advantages. We also had 6 fires at the location during COVID. We had,
Wow.
you know, chaos on tap. You know, we bought it was 57 units. When we bought it, there was 37 tenants. 18 of them were drug dealers, including the on-site manager.
Ooh.
We did all the renovations. We, you know, and we got the value up, and we did great. We made great tax return, or you know, great returns. But again, we didn't see cash flow for the first 2 years. You know, we had to go, and it was during COVID too. So there was a lot of things that happened during COVID, right? Like
Mhm.
material shortages and all these different things. But yeah, it's a longer apartments are a longer, and any kind of syndication is a longer, slower investment burn, right? Like you got to be very patient. What we're offering is much different because we're prepaying the interest payments up front to the investors, and we're doing shorter timelines, you know. And our goal too by doing that is to build great relationships. So that way it's like if we take care of you, you know, you don't have to go and look for 10 other investors to work with, you know. You might want, you're like, hey, that was a great experience, you know, what do you guys have next, you know? And then
Mhm.
the next investment deal we have, because we're structuring them all the same. We're doing, you know, co-investing where multiple investors can work together. Everybody's in the exact same lien position. Everybody gets their interest up front, and it's a shorter timeline, you know, for you to actually get your money back. If you change your mind or a life event happens, you decide, you know, not to invest in the next deal.
Yeah. It's awesome. I've been in a few deals and that upfront interest is just really attractive in the short terms on the loans. I mean, on the investments. Can't beat it. I don't know who else is
Absolutely.
doing
Keep it
it.
up, Joyce. We're gonna put you on the team.
Yep.
I'm anxious. I'm going to try and figure out how to do that HELOC thing because I
Yep.
sit here in a home with a lot of HELOC and I'm just, trying to figure out how to dive in with that HELOC
Yep.
procedure.
Like I said, when you're ready, give me a call. We'll walk you through it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was saying too, like the way you know, the different people that we have investing right now, some people have cash, some people are using self-directed IRAs, solo 401ks. We have 0% credit cards, HELOCs, and the new one, a new investor that's coming in is using infinite banking, which is insurance policies. So they have, you know, these whole life policies that they've been investing in, and now they're able to actually borrow against the insurance policy, which has a cash value, and invest in real estate and businesses. And so, and the great thing is we're able to take all these different people and have them invest together in the same lien position.
Awesome. Yep. Exciting. So
And that
what kind
makes
of
it that
discount do we
win-win.
get on our nails if we invest? No.
Tell them, Angel.
Yes, ma'am. Please come on by.
I
Absolutely.
do my own.
I love it.
Oh, do
Yeah, I went and had my nails done. I don't usually do a lot of self-pampering. And my girlfriend's like, well, you need to relax. I'm kind of frugal. So I did
you?
I had a special event and I went and had my nails done and I watched a girl do them and she was that massage part of the hands. I thought, oh my God, that felt so good. I had never had that done, but I actually saw how she did it and I did a little research and I did, this is my second set. I
I
did them
love
myself.
it.
You even got the words right
Love it.
this time.
I, I know Mitch and I have talked about doing some in-person events, some
Yep.
capital raising events. We talked about doing one down in Panama City around some of the projects we have going on there. People could come and see finished houses, houses that are in progress, and maybe a house that we're just getting under contract. But we'd
Yep.
also like to do one in Las Vegas. I think the whole business acquisition would be great and come out and see the different salons because I know there'll be multiple by the time that happens. And Angel could show them all off.
I'd
Yes,
love to
sir.
see them.
So,
Absolutely. That'd be fantastic. And we'll give you the Las Vegas tour. The
Yes.
there's what is it called? Circa, which is like Vegas is interesting because like they remodeled Fremont Street, and so they built a newer casino down there. And on the top, it has this amazing rooftop deck, so you could see the entire city, before the lights go down, and then you could see it when the lights, actually go down in Las Vegas. And they've got all of these like outdoor patio seating areas with fireplaces, and yeah, that'd be a great idea if we do an event and have everybody come out. Maybe that's what we'll do for Bella when we do the relaunch on that one. We'll like set the calendar in advance, and then that way everybody can come out and they can see Bella and in style, and we'll make it a fun weekend.
and hopefully by then we'll have something else under contract. So,
I'm
We're
working
working
on
on.
it.
She's working
all
on
right.
it. Absolutely.
All right.
Well, fabulous. Again, thank you everyone for your time tonight. And we look forward to the next time we meet.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Thank you,
guys.
everyone.
Y'all have a good
Appreciate
night.
you.
All right. Good
Have a
night.
great night.
Bye-bye.